The time has come for Britain to make a choice, one that will define its future. The debate over immigration has reached a fever pitch, and the nation can no longer afford to sidestep the undeniable truth. The UK's open-door immigration policies are no longer sustainable. Britain's immigration system, once celebrated for its humanitarian ideals, has become a ticking time bomb, poised to explode under the weight of its contradictions. The country faces a monumental decision: embrace an open-door policy that risks economic, social, and cultural strain, or take a hard stand and reclaim control over its borders, its resources, and its identity. At the heart of this debate lies a simple but critical question: is the UK willing to continue down the path of unchecked migration, or is it time to confront the uncomfortable reality that the system is broken? The numbers don't lie. In 2024, net migration to the UK reached an eye-watering 745,000, a record high that signals the failure of the government to control its borders effectively. Despite this, the ruling political elite remains caught in a web of political correctness, unwilling to acknowledge that this level of immigration is simply unsustainable. The truth is, this surge in immigration is placing an unprecedented strain on the UK's infrastructure, public services, and housing. The NHS is buckling under pressure, schools are overcrowded, and the cost of living continues to climb, largely due to the strain migration has placed on public resources. It's time to face facts. Britain cannot afford to be the world's social safety net, indefinitely absorbing people into a system that is already teetering on the edge of collapse. Moreover, it's not just about resources. Immigration has now become a question of national identity. Over the years, Britain's cultural fabric has been undeniably enriched by the contributions of immigrants, from NHS workers to tech innovators. However, we must ask ourselves, at what cost? While the contributions of immigrants are undeniable, the failure to integrate them into British society properly is becoming increasingly apparent. Segregated communities, cultural tensions, and rising anti-immigrant sentiments are symptoms of a much larger problem. When the population of a country grows exponentially, it requires an equal commitment to integration, cultural cohesion, and shared values. Simply opening the gates without ensuring these factors leads to division, not unity. It's time to ask whether we truly want to build a multicultural society, or whether we want to preserve the core values that made Britain the nation it is today. To make matters worse, the UK's asylum system is an unmitigated disaster. The backlog of asylum claims now sits at over 52,000, with many asylum seekers housed in hotels while they await processing. This situation is not only unsustainable, but it is also deeply unfair to those who have waited patiently for their turn to seek refuge through legal channels. Meanwhile, migrants, some of whom are economic rather than political refugees, continue to arrive by boat, overwhelming the system and making a mockery of the UK's commitment to its own laws. The tragic loss of life in the English Channel in 2024, where more than 50 people died attempting to make the crossing, should serve as a wake-up call. The UK cannot continue to tolerate illegal immigration on this scale. It's clear that the current system is simply not working, and something drastic must be done. Those who argue for an end to open borders and a firm stance on deportations are often met with accusations of xenophobia, but this accusation misses the point entirely. The call for stricter immigration controls is not about hostility toward foreigners, it's about the need to protect Britain's future. The argument that Britain must uphold the 1951 UN Refugee Convention is well worn, but it no longer holds the weight it once did. The UK has done its part in providing sanctuary to those fleeing persecution, but the country can no longer be expected to shoulder the burden of the world's crises. The failure of international agreements, such as the Rwanda Plan, to deter illegal crossings only reinforces the idea that Britain's asylum system has been hijacked by those abusing it for economic gain. If we are to ensure a safe and secure future for all, we must look beyond outdated international agreements and focus on the sovereignty of our own borders. The time has come for radical action. It's clear that Britain's immigration system is unsustainable, and it's time to close the borders. No longer should we stand idly by as the country's resources are drained and its identity is eroded. Mass deportations are not just a necessary measure, they are a moral imperative. The UK must prioritize the needs of its citizens, ensuring that jobs, housing, and public services are accessible to those who have contributed to the system. It's time to end the culture of permissiveness that has allowed illegal migration to flourish. Every single person who enters the UK illegally must be deported immediately. There can be no exceptions, no leniency, no more excuses. Critics of this approach will argue that it is inhumane, but let's be clear. The real inhumanity lies in allowing Britain's future to be sacrificed at the altar of political correctness. The lives of ordinary British citizens are being affected by a system that prioritizes the interests of outsiders over those of the people who call this country home. The current government, and its liberal counterparts, have failed to act decisively. They have abandoned the British people in favor of appeasing globalist interests and ideologies. This cannot continue. It's time for bold leadership and unwavering resolve. The path forward is clear. Britain must take control of its borders and its future. The call for mass deportations is not radical, it is necessary. It is time for Britain to prioritize the safety, security, and well-being of its people above all else. If we don't act now, the consequences will be dire. The choice is ours. Do we continue down this reckless path, or do we stand up and demand the future that Britain deserves? The clock is ticking, and the time to act is now.